lighting design is a very small profession, and if you are in another area that is not necessarily architectural lighting, but let's say you are doing theme parks, for example, that has not necessarily always been recognized as classical sort of architectural lighting. And yet it takes a great deal of expertise, and the challenges facing designers in other fields are just very similar to what the challenges that are faced in the field of architecture. So a lot of people have come from theatrical backgrounds, and I think that there's more common ground there than we have allowed in the past. And another advantage is again, the greater our numbers, the greater visibility we will have among the broader community of clientele.
Lighting designers might come from completely different areas, like digital natives who develop themselves as programmer, as probably game designers who develop such a skill in ambience and in programming that they might be a potential new lighting design professional.
And it's interesting because I'm seeing a number of individuals who might start off have a lighting design background from a university, that they walk out with a bachelor's degree in lighting. They work for lighting design practice. They might go into do some product design for a while. And then from product design, they're back maybe with on owner side or on a construction manager side. In being able to have the ability for someone who may have worked their way up, gotten pretty far in their career as a designer, and then being able to kind of make some lateral moves as one progresses, I think is super important to be able to allow that tangential aspect. But I'm also seeing individuals that are coming from the non-traditional lighting design backgrounds, theater, urban design, and planning aspects, who are getting engaged with lighting. Maybe it's through event and installation components, but I'm also seeing a lot of crossover projects that one might say, well, is that an art piece? Is it a architectural structure? And some of these take very large forms. And as I think about the designers that are engaged in those projects, wouldn't it be great to be able to have that kind of creative energy as part of our membership structure as well? And I've seen individuals that work in that sphere. They may have come from an engineering background, gone into the creative side of the equation, and then be able to kind of cross back over into lighting. And I think the new membership structure really kind of helps support the amount of fluidity that we're seeing with a lot of really great lighting enthusiasts, designers, and engineers out there.
It's funny. Some of our best lighting designers have been from, backgrounds with philosophy, graphic design, all out there. I mean, essentially it just takes an interest in art and technology. And if they have those two interests, that can be really broad, and it doesn't need to be from one of the more traditional fields. I find that lighting can definitely be taught on the job if you're working with somebody that has the right aptitude and right skill set as a baseline. I'm trying to think like outside of the traditional. I feel like it can come from anywhere. It has more to do with the interest and skill set of the person rather than what they've studied. I'm a big proponent of the degree doesn't matter. So
this is a transversal profession. I mean, we always have been aware that we need to bring knowledge and experience from other fields, but nowadays it is huge.
Well, I don't know that it's new to find people coming from, say, theater or, non-traditional lighting programs. And in our firm, we have folks with all kinds of backgrounds, including ones that, you know, came completely from outside of design. But once you step into the light of lighting, you need to have a home. And you know, I think that's the goal, is for the IALD to be the home no matter where you came from. You know, it's not that anyone can do lighting design. They can't. You know, there's so many layers to quality lighting design and providing quality lighted environments for the people that use those environments. It's not, you can pick something and you've done a good job and you're done. And there's a lot of parts that can be learned. There's also a lot of parts that are intuitive. They're here, you know, and here. And all of those parts need a home to grow and to network and to, you know, we feed off of each other.
In my 23 years in lighting design, what I've found is many lighting designers come from many other areas of practice and do not start off as a child or in grade school wanting to be lighting designers, but they discover it at some point in their career. And so they might come from the architecture field, interior design, theatrical design, industrial design. So a lot of people, a lot of designers in the industry happen upon lighting design at some point, and it intrigues them and engages them, and it draws them here. So there's a lot of different avenues, and I think that's going to continue to be the case as we move into the future, especially I think with digital technology and other avenues, that lighting impacts us all, whether you're a chiropractor or a doctor. Lighting is the core of human beings. And so I think as people discover it in one way or another, some people are just drawn to it and want to be part of that process and maintain a quality and a look that's important with lighting.
We are seeing a lot of our new members that are coming into the firm here with a diverse background, and you know, it might not be digital first from necessarily, but it's definitely a digital adjacent. And to that point, you know, I'm seeing folks from the software development side or software engineering side who have an interest in buildings or have an interest in electronics who think they want to get into product, but then have found light in product. And so, you know, when we used to see a lot of either, you know, theatrical designers, everyone says, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense as a lighting designer. Product designers, yeah, okay, as an industrial designer, I could see that too, dealing with the product. In this next era, as we kind of think about how our profession is going to be have kind of a digital first or digital enhancement to how we kind of practice, we're seeing that engagement and that interest from people with those backgrounds and interests, I think is great to be able to expand out the capabilities for all the designers in the organization.
So I think we can learn from each other. We can learn techniques. We can learn tricks and techniques in lighting from other designers in other areas. And we can also broaden our practices to include other areas. And I think that's something that sort of we have been kind of narrowly focused. And I think by broadening our focus, we might be able to appeal to a greater number of designers and for continuing education, which is something that we are really, really good at, is continuing education. And learning from each other. I mean, that's the benefit of membership, is really learning from each other. And so I think that there are, I mean, I have to say, one of the best sessions I ever went to at an IALD conference was about a presentation on the color story and the techniques, the lighting techniques behind some animated films. And just having that exposure is so eye-opening that I think that being able to have dialogue with those people on a more regular basis would be just an incredible advancement in the organization.
In the task force's thinking, we have a very significant core group. That core is the, highly prized professional lighting designer. We then proposed the idea of a membership category and a design category, simplifying where we have been up till now. I think it's more inclusive, and that's going to be really helpful in growing the numbers of people. And you have to remember that people are coming from so many different adjunct professions. For example, landscape architects, they do lighting design. All of the, media facade people, they're doing lighting design. And that's a big part of many of lighting designers, work around the world. We have, I've come up against a painter, doing construction on a project. He said, well, I understand light and paint all have to work together. Bingo. Yeah, you're right. So now he's a lighting designer. So, I think people come from so many different walks of life, and it's really important that we embrace them. Let's give them the education. Let's give them the understanding of what the professional lighting designer does in its full scope of work, as opposed to, I dabble in it here and there. So I think lighting designers have had a sort of a stratosphere from the consultant to the full-blown, supply design, build, even experience. And so, because we're so vast, I think IALD is trying to embrace that thinking that we have that core group, but we also have an environment and an ecosystem that we can embrace. And I know that, many people immediately go to the manufacturer or the supply side, but I think the threats are much more related to the bigger design or AEC industry.
For me, as a transversal profession, activity, discipline, specialty, we really need to understand that we will be interpreters of the use of light for many other fields of knowledge, and we need to foster the use of light in the right way for everyone.
So I think there's threats that are greater than membership criteria at this point that we need to start looking at as well. And I think that there are other trades and that there are other lighting designers in other areas of practice that have information about some of these things because they are using some of these things in their game design. I mean, there's another example, game design. Lighting for game design, it's a whole different area that there are lighters for game design, there are lighters for film, there are people that are seeing and using light to express and tell a story. And that's basically what we're all about, is telling stories. And we're telling a story with a movie or a television show or a building. It doesn't really matter. That's what we're all about.